Now we have a room.
All right.
You want to go backward?
Back to order again. We did call to order, but we evidently were having some technical issues. I was explaining that. So I would like to call to order the Newington Town Council regular meeting of Tuesday, October 24th, 2023 at 7:12 p.m. If you would please all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for doing that twice for us tonight. Apologize for the technical glitches. We'll move now into our roll call, please.
Here. Deputy Mayor Budrago. Here. Councilor Camillo.
Here.
Councilor Donahue. Councilor Mankey.
Here.
Councilor Nagel.
Here.
Councilor Page.
Here.
Councilor Rada.
Here.
Mayor Del.
Here. Thank you. Councilor Donahue, Councilor did text me earlier and just say that he had an emergency at work and was not sure he would make it. He will try to get here if he's able to. Next item is approval of the agenda. Wow, there's some changes. Thank you for putting it up there like that, James. Councilor Mankey.
I would like to I'll read it off. Add additional item AA I1, resignation appointments 9A. Additional resignation appointments 9B, except resignation of ethics alternate member. Resignation appointments 9C, unaffiliated appointments to Board of Ethics, and resignation appointments 9C, appointment of 9D, right? Okay, appointment of to the Board of Ethics. Sorry for that.
So that's your motion?
That's my motion.
There
Reversed as it was.
Is there a second? Second by Councilor Camillo. Any discussion? I'll make your hands up, but that was for the
No,
original,
that's
correct?
good.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have our agenda. Next item this evening is public participation. Any member of the public is welcome to come forward to address the council. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. There is a slide bar on the screen that will help to gauge that as well as the clock. And then I'm just going to check online as well. Welcome.
Again, 30 Candlewood Drive. I just made these same remarks upstairs to the Ethics Committee. This is a repeat performance. I want to talk about the lack of compliance with Chapter 3210 of your ethics codes. That code requires that public officials file with the town clerk a form that lists any real estate holdings and any business associations or holdings within the town. The purpose of the form, as you already know, is to identify any conflicts of interest that may affect the decisions of other actions on behalf of the town. On September 18th, I went to the town clerk's office where James very nicely afforded me the opportunity to review the disclosure forms currently on file. I decided because of time to limit my review to just the land use committees, this body, and other elected officials. It accounted for 33 members, of which 8 forms were missing. Pretty high percentage in my mind. I then asked James, he was extremely cooperative, to obtain the missing forms. I was informed today by him that he's received 4 additional forms. So I only looked at a few committees and we're missing 4 people from there. The other committees, who knows? I asked the ethics board to do a complete review of the process. I was surprised that the current system is basically a 3-ring binder where documents get put in chronological order. I would think that something alphabetical or maybe by committee would be nice. I think a really good practice would be to have an actual database of the forms on file so people could access it, either board chairpersons, elected officials, and the public. These remarks, please in no way are any complaining against the town clerk. We're very blessed to have James and his staff. They do a great job. They're just very busy. I asked the ethics board to please make sure that these forms are brought into compliance. And I actually volunteered upstairs. If they're all too busy, I'll be happy to create a database for you. I would go into, if James wants me to, go in, take the forms and get them in order, because I think the forms are really important, especially when you have accusations constantly flying around about a lack of ethics. And I don't believe any of it. This actually was more my attempt to dispel those feelings. But you need to get organized. You need to comply. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I too just left the Ethics Board Committee meeting from upstairs. And it is the first meeting that I know of being held in 6 years. Although I've come before this town council many times and asked that it be, the meeting be called. The problem is that only the chairman or 3 members of the committee can call a meeting. And not even the town manager could do it the way it is now. I don't know what has to be done to change that. If it's in the charter, I should have thought of it when we did charter revision, because that's been a real thorn in my side for at least 5 years that I've been coming here. The board, according to the booklet regarding reports and memorandum, the board shall preserve memoranda and statements and reports filed by and with the board for a period of 5 years from date of receipt. They also should report annually prior to December 31st to the town council, summarizing the activities of the board. I have never seen them come before you, whether it needs to be publicly here or not, I don't know. But once again, we're scrambling. When I was on the board, we were scrambling because there was a complaint and there was no complaint form. Now we've got a complaints, and there's no chair. Well, there is a chairman, but he's serving de facto. It says in the booklet that the meeting has to be held within 15 days. And it said in the agenda that the complaint was filed on October 12th. So we're within the 15 days, but you've got all new people on that board. As a matter of fact, you see tonight that you're having 2 people or 1 person resign, at least tonight, because I know 2 people that are running for Board of Education are on the Ethics Commission or board. So instead of scrambling and being reactive, let's try and be proactive going forward. In closing, I'd just like to say public thank you to the town manager for answering some questions I had this week, and always all your department heads and people that I talk to in this building have always been very cooperative and forthcoming and very transparent with things that I ask. And sometimes I ask over and over again and I get on their nerves and I get it. So I'll end this with thank you and good night.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Any other members of the public? I'm just checking online. Councilor, there was no email correspondence, correct?
I checked this afternoon about 3 o'clock and there was none.
Okay. Then we will continue on to remarks by councilors on public participation.
I wanted to speak, I'm sorry.
I did call for other public participation.
I didn't hear you.
Come on up, Mr. Teller.
Thank you. Sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
Bob Tallard. I was recently at the Church of Christ congregation, there was a meeting there, and it was held due to the signs going around the town. And I know that you were there, Mayor, and Gail, you were there. I didn't see Tim or Dave or John or Michael there, but I did see the Democrats, even Gary Turco was there. And there is way too much hate throughout the country, throughout the state, and I think here in the town of Newington. I remember Rob Schmidt, who's on Newsmax, and he mentioned the word white nationalists. And he said you should be a proud American if you're a white nationalist. So he has an audience. And so I Googled it and I researched the word white nationalist, which led to white supremacist, and which led to neo-fascist and Nazis. And that's, as the definition of white nationalists developed, that's what it kind of morphed into, those types of words. And I'm glad that the people that showed up there was a lot of Democrats there. And where am I? Sorry. And they have some numbers here, which are, and I know that you were there, Mayor, so you read the numbers about the discrimination going on throughout the country. And I believe here in the town of Newington, because I think those signs prove it, that there is problems. Did those signs come from maybe outside the town? Well, we don't know. Nobody's been able to nail this down yet. And I was just hoping that something would have come of it, that we find these people, and I'm glad that Mitch, you came up with a resolution to enforce the hate, if there's any hate, and we do find these people, that they are held accountable for their actions, because I think we have enough decisiveness in this town and division in the country and throughout the world. As we know, we've got another war to deal with, and it's very frustrating to see growing up and being born in 1951 and moving to Newington in 1956 to see the town deteriorate in this way. And I remember people bragging they used to leave their front doors open. And I'm sure everybody here probably has heard somebody say that, or you may have done it yourself, about leaving the front doors open because it was safe. Well, now everybody's got Ring cameras probably on their house, because due to what's going on in the world and throughout the country and throughout the state of Connecticut and the town of Newington. And I just hope we keep pushing forward to stop this. And Mitch, thanks again for proposing that resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallard. Anyone else? Online. There are no hands up online, so we'll move on to remarks by councilors on public participation. Mayor Draco.
Yes, I'd like to thank Mr. Corrigan and Ms. Lyons for both coming forward regarding suggestions on the ethics committee. Because not only, for example, did you come forward with an issue, but you came forward with a possible solution or suggestion. And I'm certain that our town manager and James can act on that. And it seems, something simple to at least scan it into it and put it into a database or something. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big, whatever, but thank you for that. And Ms. Lyons too. Yeah, I can't ever remember a ethics committee meeting since I've been coming to these things. And you're right, even once if there's like a solid membership or something, just once a year have an organizational review of, what we're supposed to do, or if anybody comes up with new ideas or whatever. So, I think it's once a year at least, just like the ball committee could schedule a meeting, whether there's a complaint or not, just to familiarize the members or whatever. So I want to thank you both for coming forward.
Thank
you. I know September 20th, I had communicated by email to the town manager and James and you and Tim and your other leadership asking about the status of that ethics committee. And that wasn't something I came up with spontaneous. It was because I had heard from members of the public expressing concern about what seemed to be an inactive board or inactive committee. And so I was pleased to see that it looks like it's back up and running. We're going to be taking action tonight to make it move forward and to address some of the concerns that folks have raised tonight. So thank you, everybody who's making that happen so we can do this right. We should be doing it right. And I would also just regarding the hate forum that was held and the leadership, many people helped to put that together, and I appreciate your presence there, Mayor, and the Deputy Mayor, and our participation, everyone, the members of the community that came out. I think it was a positive evening, and I think it was one of hopefully many positive forums that'll happen moving forward that are demonstrating that we work together, we come together as a community to push back on any hate or discrimination or bigotry. So thanks.
Thank you, Counselor Page. Counselor Mankey?
Not that I have to explain myself, but just for Mr. Tallad's point, I was not at that hate forum or whatever you're going to call it. I guess hate forum is probably a bad thing. But I had made reservations with my wife back in May to attend a weekend in Newport. And if you're married, you would know that if you back out of a reservation to go to Newport for a weekend, for whatever the reason, it would not be a good thing. So I told Counselor Page and I told Mr. Plur that I would not be attending to that. So if you're wondering where I was, that's where I was.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to, I guess, tag team with what Deputy Mayor Bedrejko said. Thank you to Mr. Forgan for bringing that to our attention. I think from us up here, we're asked to fill out the disclosure forms, and we do, or at least, you know, I did.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know who you found that didn't, and I don't want to know that necessarily tonight, but. And I'm glad that you followed up so that those folks could be contacted, whoever it is, to make sure that it is done. And it is filed in the town clerk's office, so we all kind of take that for granted, I think. So I appreciate you bringing forward to us the fact that there's a bit of a loophole here that we need to tighten up and make sure that those records are kept more closely and make sure we're following up on that. So we'll have to figure out really through town staff, most likely the best process to do that, and we'll follow up on that. So thank you for that. And Ms. Lyons, I know you have come out many times about the ethics board, and I have looked over, and James, I'm going to look to you because you know these things like the back of your hand. But in the last few days, reading over the ethics policy, which is here, but also the ethics board, there's several different places to look. So there's the charter, there's the boards and commissions booklet, there's the ethics book, there's a lot. And the only thing I saw was that, and I agree, it did say that they should summarize yearly the activities. There hasn't been any activity. But it also said somewhere that they only meet if there's a complaint to hear, is what I read somewhere in the charge. But is there some other language that we should be looking to, I guess is my question, if you know.
So if we're looking at that specifically, the code itself, so chapter 32, specifically does call out the requirement of them to report to the council on their actions.
Right.
Now, that may be just a simple write-up that the chairman does and presents and just says, you know, we met once, we talked about the code, we didn't make any recommendations, and we're done.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that they have to meet multiple times. Anytime they do receive a complaint, of course, that was a whole process I had to speak with FOI on. So once those are received by the town, they're turned over to the board chairman. The board chairman would open those in executive session, their own executive session. From that point, they'll make the determination of whether or not those claims are valid or not, determine whether or not they're going to move forward with an investigation. At that point, they would inform the complainant as well as any respondents to that claim, and that process would move forward. It is a very, very confidential process, and there are monetary penalties for failure and breaking those.
Okay.
So that's something we want to be very aware of as we're going through on it. But now that we've actually got a board up and moving, my recommendation would be at least they meet, discuss any possible changes that may have happened since our last change to the ethics code, which I believe was 1991.
Okay.
If I remember, look back, might have done it in 08, but I have to look at the booklet just to see if we're still in line with the statutes
With the state,
themselves.
yeah.
Yes.
Because I was looking at some of the state language too, and trying to make sure that we're in line with that. So obviously this is our last council meeting tonight for this term. So whoever's sitting here next term, put it on your radar because you guys will still be there for sure. Well, one of you will. But to make sure that we're following up on that and making sure that gets updated. I think
I
it's
did make
important.
sure that the board itself, the members actually had the state booklets about public officials
Oh, good.
and what constitutes a substantial or standard conflict of interest.
Mhm.
So they had that information to refer to because that is essentially what our ethics code is based upon.
Okay,
So it's easy enough to follow along as they review a complaint the same way we would.
yeah, okay, great. So we'll make sure that we're taking a look at that process and tightening it up as we go. Okay. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Just following up on that, you said that, it's probably one of the, every executive session or whatever is confidential, but, the ethics board can, just by virtue of its name, quite frankly, kind of rises right up to the top. Is there like a special, swearing in or oath that they take?
Nothing special for that board, unlike some other boards or police officers who take a higher oath. The Board of Ethics is a standard oath of office.
I wonder if that could be looked at maybe.
Unless the state law requires it, there'd be no greater oath than anyone else, and it's similar to any elected official.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Ennis?
I have a question. Do they have to sign something that they understand their duties and obligations
They
of
actually,
the ethics board?
no, there's no requirement
So
on
do
that
they
in our
know that
code.
if anything leaks or whatever, that they're gonna get fined?
That was actually part of the agenda that was placed before them this evening, an explanation of the complaint process as well as an understanding of the code. When I spoke with Chairman Marcy at the time, he had actually gone through the code itself because I sent him a copy of the draft agenda to review ahead of time. Once he compared that with the actual code, he understood the reasoning we were going that route and the language that we place into it based upon my contact with the FOI Commission. So,
I think that's another reason why they need to meet. And I know
yes,
back probably 10 years ago, they were meeting because they made up. their-
15 and 17 were our
Right,
last two
where they
meetings.
did, yeah, exactly. And so, I agree. I've been pushing for it to meet every year too, and just doesn't happen because there was nobody there to call the meeting. So I'm glad to see that this is progressing. Thank you.
Okay. We'll continue on with our agenda now to consideration of old business. And the first item is disbanding of inactive committees. And we did speak to this last time, that we're still waiting on information for Town Hall reno. Mr. Harpy was not available for this meeting, so he will be coming likely to the second meeting in November. The first meeting is the organizational meeting of the new council. And then school code compliance. I don't know if you have any update from Mr. Jacomowitz or the superintendent, or they're still working on the report.
He is online.
Oh, okay. Mr. Jacomowitz, did you want to speak to that or?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi. At this time, all of the paperwork has been filed to the state for getting to the final parts of acceptance and final payment for this particular project. I do know I have to work with Lauren on putting together the final report, which spans better part of 20 years that this committee's been open. I have not heard anything back in the last few days on this, but everything's going in the right direction. And, we certainly will, finish up whatever report needs to happen in a timely fashion.
Okay.
There's no actions required of the committee. Everything's all set at this point.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we'll just wait for that final report and then we'll take action to disband after that's completed. Thank you for the update. Appreciate that. Next item this evening is collective bargaining for the Newington Teachers Association tentative agreement. So counselors, that this was brought forward to us. We did have a counselor, Donahue actually sat on the negotiation committee just to kind of represent the council and bring back any relevant information. He indicated at the last meeting that the negotiation went well, that all parties were in agreement, and that it was a pretty seamless process. We have before us this evening a resolution which indicates that we do not reject the tentative agreement, which is a strange way. It's a very strange way to word it, but that is the process and procedure. Let's read that in, and then if there's any questions, we can go ahead and ask those who would like to read that.
You got sure.
Counselor Page? Thank you.
The resolution, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby moves to not reject the tentative agreement reached between the Board of Education and the Newington Teachers Association for a contract effective July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2027, in accordance with Section 10-153D of the Connecticut General Statutes. Note the terms of the agreement are not, or excuse me, the terms of agreement are binding unless the town council rejects the contract within 30 days of filing. For purpose of this resolution, the tentative agreement was filed with the town clerk on September 25, 2023. If no action is taken, the contract automatically becomes binding for the time period listed above. If the contract is rejected, it is submitted to binding arbitration.
Second by Counselor Nagel. Any discussion, counselors? I don't see anyone's hands up. I would just say, I know in the past, there have been times where we've just chosen not to take action and let it go on its own. We have a resolution on the table. I'm fine with it. I think, based on the report back from Counselor Donahue, we're good to move forward on this if everybody's good with that.
Yeah, and I just would say, and I think you're saying it, that we appreciate the efforts of everyone involved to come up with what seems like a fair agreement for the town, for the teachers and all the work they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that little note at the end is always a scary one. When you hear arbitration, that never, never ends well. So that is not something we would want to do. And I appreciate, from Counselor Donahue's perspective last time, the fact that it was really a positive negotiation between all the parties involved. And that everyone was very pleased with the outcome that was involved. I think that speaks volumes. So I'm very pleased to move this forward in the best interest of the teachers. Any other comments?
I just have, it is a weird way to say it. We agree not to reject.
That's the statute.
Yep, it's a statute.
I'll go with the lawyers.
All right. All right, then. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donahue absent. Next item this evening is refunds for October 24th, 2023. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $10,943.90 are hereby approved in the individual amounts, and for those named on requests for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Seconded by Counselor Anist. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donahue absent. Next item this evening is the approval of minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the August 15th, 2023 special meeting, October 10th, 2023 special meeting, October 10th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
So
Second.
moved by Counselor Mackey, seconded by Counselor Nagel. I don't know what happened there.
I'm sorry. I should.
It's usually Counselor Nagel that gets in on
I'm
that.
sorry. I jumped the gun.
Whew, okay. Any
Because I'm more to tie. That's what.
any comments on those minutes?
Me. Counselor Annis.
Counselor Annis?
I wasn't at the meeting, but I watched it and I also read the minutes, so
Okay.
I'm good to vote on it.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying. Any other comments or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donahue absent. Next item this evening is a new business item, the 2023 steep grant application.
No.
Oh, I skipped.
New business.
Oh,
Sorry.
it goes before there. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
I
9A,
apologize,
B, C,
folks.
D, Whatever.
I was thinking it was after the new business. Okay, old format. All right, so we did add some agenda items. The first one, which I'm not able to see because my eyes
Mr. Meal.
won't see that. Just grab this other packet that was provided. Mr. Mealy, we did receive 2 letters of resignation from the Board of Ethics, and we are looking to accept those this evening. Counselor Menke.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Anthony Mealy as a member of the Board of Ethics in accordance with email correspondence dated October 24th, 2023.
Is there a second? Second. Second by Counselor Rada. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donahue absent. Would you like to continue with the next one?
Sure. Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Kelly DeHaas as an alternate member of the Board of Ethics in accordance with email correspondence dated October 24th, 2023.
Second. Second by Counselor Rada. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donahue absent. And then we have a couple of appointments. Counselor Menke?
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointment. Board of Ethics, Nancy Capello.
You jumped over. Right now, the unaffiliates.
I'm sorry, I had it in the wrong order. Resolved, pursuant to the recommendation of the town manager, the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointments to the unaffiliated / minor party member of the Board of Ethics. Edwin Zacharias.
Zacharias?
Zacharias.
Yep.
145 Barnhill Lane, Party U. Term 10/24/23 to 11/30/2025. This is filling the vacancy of Frank Marcy, who is serving as ex officio.
Unaffiliate?
Yeah.
I think this is not correct,
Right.
right?
It's, yeah,
I know.
right. So it's the ex officio we're filling.
Let me just confirm. De facto.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, yeah, so, hold on, so then those should read, de facto status of Frank Marcy and vacancy of Kimberly Ramstad.
Can I ask you a question?
So,
Who's the chairman?
at this moment, the chairman is Frank Marcy. De facto status.
So as of, when we vote on it, she gets sworn in. He's no longer chairman, correct?
Correct.
James, I'm not seeing what you're,
Because it's wrong.
yeah, so can we clarify that?
So on that fourth page. You know, they're all stuck together.
Yeah.
So both of these, those were actually meant to be under the next one. We weren't doing
All
a
right.
reappointment of the alternate, which was Kelly DeHaas, which we just took the resignation for, and Anthony Meals for the regular member. Those should read as Frank Marcy as an unaffiliated de facto member and as Kimberly Ramstad as a vacancy due to her death.
So I don't know how much the mics picked up, but for the members of the public that are watching, the resolution on the screen is not correct. What was read into the record is correct. The two openings on the Board of Ethics are unaffiliated members. The first one on that resolution, Edwin Zacharias, would be replacing the unaffiliated position of Frank Marcy, who is serving de facto. And Spencer Lombard would be replacing the vacancy that was created by Kimberly Ramstad. Got it?
You got it.
Just want to make sure that
I have it.
everybody's got the accurate information.
So if I would just may continue. I read the first one. The second one is Spencer Lombard, 15 Gale Circle, Party U, term 10/24/2023 to 11/30/2024, replacing Kimberly Ramstad.
Just 19.
19.
Oh, 19?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 19, I'm sorry.
Just.
All right, is there a second?
We have,
Correct date on that as well.
yeah, just,
Yep, that should say 11:30, although you did read it correctly. I wrote it as 10:30 with my
See, I read it
fingers.
correctly. See,
You just knew.
I just knew. Clairvoyant.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Anist. So I'm just gonna reread a little bit to make sure everybody's on the same page. We have two appointments for the Board of Ethics recommended by the town manager, Tom Hutka. The names are Edwin Zacharias, 145 Barnhill Lane, party unaffiliate, for ex officio Frank Marcy, Spencer Lombard, as a alternate or a full for the vacancy. On the motion, it says alternate. I thought it was a-
Spencer is an alternate.
Okay.
No, hold on.
No, I thought that was a
I'm checking
full.
that right now.
That they're both full.
Yeah, I'm checking that right now. I want to confirm that.
I think the only alternate was in our position that was gonna be empty.
There it is. See, this is why I don't get things at 6:15.
Is the list updated?
I'm working on that.
Okay.
My assistant had added things.
Make sure we get it right, folks, so just give us a second.
It's education. Yes, that's environmental. Okay. Okay, yep, both of them are regular members. Mr. Marcy was through 11/30/25. Ms. Ramstad was 11/30/2024.
Okay.
So let's.
Just wanted to clarify. So Counselor Menke, your motion, do you agree with the way I just summarized it?
I do.
Okay. Counselors, do you have any questions? There was a second already. Are there questions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donohue absent. And then I believe we have one more.
We do. Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointment. Nancy Capella, member, 66 Pepper Bush Lane, Party R, term 10/24/2023 to 11/30/2024, the vacancy of Anthony Mealy.
Seconded by Counselor Camillo. Any discussion on this appointment? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donohue absent. Okay, now we're on to the steep grant application for the Mill Pond Falls pedestrian bridge replacement. This was a grant that we received recently for replacement of the bridge. The requested amount of steep funding, I'm trying to see, it's not in the front page. I had 240 in my mind, but the application says 300. Do you have that, Mr. Hudka?
Yeah, the total amount of the project is 300, and that was requested. What the state gave us was 240 with a municipal match of $40,000.
Of 60,000.
Yeah, that's what I said, I'm sure. $60,000. But on that good news, I might add, I want to shout out to two of our staff members, Chris Zabidio and Paul Dixon, who really hustled to get this grant application in, not only at the last minute, but obviously very successful. So we're very happy. And of course, we thank the state.
Wonderful. And I was asked this question earlier in the week from, actually, Ms. Lyons was asking about it. And this was not something that was a project in our capital plan. We didn't see it in there. It was something that fit the criteria for the steep grant. And I think staff saw an opportunity to apply for it and luckily got it. And the matching grant piece, the $60,000, we did plan in our CIP fund line item for matching funds to try and fund that with a certain amount each year to make sure that as these opportunities come available, if there are funds necessary, we would have those budgeted in to the fund. So just that's usually the first question I get is where you're getting the money from. And it's there is a line item in capital improvement, CIP, capital improvement plan, that will allow us to fund that. All right, so we're being asked this evening to waive the rules and accept tonight. Is this a time restraint, or is this just because this council is exiting and we want to wrap it up, have all our business wrapped up?
A little of both. What we're asking for is just to give me the authority to fill out the remaining paperwork so we can start on the project as soon as possible.
Okay. So this is pretty routine. I will say we have the resolution in the packet allowing us to take action on this as a new business item. So I would ask for someone to read that motion.
I'll read it in.
Oh, yes.
In your original packets, that resolution was incorrect for the waiver. I left one on your desks that has the 2022 year and the February 22nd date.
Yes.
Perfect.
We got it. Thank you.
I noticed that after the fact. That's what happens when you copy from previous steep grants.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council, in accordance with the Town Council Rules of Procedure, Section 11, voting, adopted February 22nd, 2022, hereby moves to allow action on new business agenda item 9A, the 2023 steep grant application, Mill Pond Falls pedestrian bridge replacement.
Second by Counselor Nagel.
10A now that we've amended the agenda.
Right.
Will you amend your motion to 10A?
I certainly will.
Will you amend your second? Okay. Just to make it match our new agenda. Thank you all. All right, so discussion on the motion to waive. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donohue absent. Then we have the motion, the actual motion for this evening, and the way we do this, because we are moving forward with a new business item, we will open it for public participation on this item if anyone does wish to speak once we read the motion in. Who would like to read the motion in? Counselor Ennis? Sure.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby approves the foregoing resolution for the 2023 steep grant application Mill Pond Falls pedestrian bridge replacement. Resolved that Thomas Hooka, Town Manager, B, and hereby is authorized to accept on behalf of the town of Newington a 2023 Connecticut steep grant in the amount of $240,000 for the Mill Pond Falls pedestrian bridge replacement. And further resolved that Thomas Hooka, Town Manager, is hereby authorized to enter into and execute any and all agreements, contracts, and documents necessary to obtain said 2023 steep grant with the state of Connecticut.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Rada. Let's do council discussion if there is any, and then we'll open it up to public. So if there's any discussion, the public can hear that first.
Yes, I'm obviously in favor of this, but I just want to reiterate, and the town engineer assured us last meeting, I'm just very nervous that any kind of construction activities or engineering will not disrupt or dismantle our tiny little falls, because one mistake, really, I mean, that's our claim to fame. And also he did assure us that the bridge will be in keeping with the character of what it is now and not some kind of circus event, which I'm worried could turn into something too. It'll stay within the character of what we know and love.
I couldn't be here for the last meeting. Thank you for understanding that, but I will pledge both of those items as well as Chris. Absolutely.
Counselor Mandy?
I would just reiterate that I think that's one of our gems is the falls. And recently you see it when it looks like Niagara Falls, and then sometimes in the summer it looks like my garden hose trickling after I turn it off. I think the bridge will make it easier to walk on and certainly be a safer bridge than we have now. My only question is, when will the work, I think Chris told us it would be like in the spring.
Yeah.
Thank you for your approving this item soon. But that'll help our time frame a great deal, and it's a real quick design. That's a real quick turnaround, and I'll do everything I can to help Chris in his optimism, but yeah, I think we can do it.
I believe last meeting, Chris said it would be built off-site and then just kind of hoisted.
Craned in.
Yeah,
Craned in.
because it's a pedestrian bridge, it's much lighter.
Hop in this. Okay. I look forward to seeing what it looks like.
Well, and we'll certainly have renderings long before we commit to the final design and purchase, so be happy to share those.
Perfect. Other questions? Deputy Mayor Baker?
Okay. One thing that Chris did mention too is there will probably, well, not probably, but there will be some clear cutting of trees required in order to get the crane in. So I'm assuming that we'll do some nice landscaping around it, should there, for replacement or some different variation.
Sorry, Counselor Nagel?
Do we have any ideas as to what the time frame is between taking the old bridge off and putting the new bridge on? Is this a lengthy process or something that can be done?
Just based on my own experience, it should be within the same few days. I mean, the whole construction process is taking the old one off, putting the new one on, and there's no reason for a delay between the two.
I know people will be curious concerning that. That's an important part of our town culturally and otherwise.
Saying that, I mean, we have to place new foundations and things like that, but it should be very quick turnaround.
It's great this is being done. I know when I've traveled to other places, whatever, and I said, I'm from Newington, Connecticut, you must say, what are you known for? And the iconic things I mentioned, please, other people have other buildings in town, don't take offense, is the falls. And, the smallest waterfall and we need to go there. So it not only.
We had to build a hotel now.
I know, it's not only
concessions.
a positive thing and a proud thing for our town to enjoy and to want to preserve, but it is also that it will attract others supposedly to enjoy what we're able to enjoy with a new state bridge that keeps within what presently is there and not distracting from it at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Menke?
I just, again, I'm sorry, but just speaking on behalf of Councilor Rada and myself, who are gardeners, it would be nice to then spruce up that area. There is a garden there, it's a sort of a triangular garden, but it's kind of overgrown and it's kind of, part of it probably doesn't get enough light, but we could do better to make the falls look nicer. I know there's a lot of, I conducted a wedding there myself at the falls, and it's a good place to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of times I drive by and there's a bride and groom getting their pictures taken by the falls, which is cool, but we should maybe then spend some time sprucing up the general area. I mean, not knock down any rocks and that's, but just kind of, pull the poison ivy back a little bit, clean up the floating bottles in the place where the water gathers before it goes down the brook. But that'd be a good place. This is a good opportunity then to sort of clean that whole place up and make it the gem that it is.
Well, and if I could, I've talked to you all, we're trying to get more Deming Young, some of the community gardeners down the hill, up around the barn and up around the house, but we can extend that. At the senior center, they have a garden in the back where a lot of people enjoy working back there, but no one sees it.
Right.
And so if we can get people who want to relocate their plots a little bit and commit to, we can put them in more visible situations. So we're working on that for next spring.
Great. I wanted to mention also, you mentioned the staff members, Chris and Paul, that worked on this, but I think our grant writer, Sonic, had a hand in it too and helped out with that. And I can't say enough about the Sonic group and what they've done for grant writing for us and the amount of funds that they've helped us bring in. So I'm really thankful that staff brings these ideas forward and is part of the process. And I'm really thankful that Sonic Group knows how to write it in a way that we get it. So I'm really thankful for all of those involved. All right, so we have the motion. We've had our discussion. I would offer open to public. If anyone from the public would like to speak on the matter, you're welcome to come forward before we take action. Let me just double check online. There are no hands online. Any takers in the room? All right. Then we will go ahead and take action on the motions on, come forward.
Thank you, Mayor Beth and
If you could just officially state your name and address, sorry. I know you, but not everybody does.
Good evening, everyone. Newington. My name is Mark France. I reside at 288 Williamstown Court in Newington. And Mayor Del Bono, Councilor Camillo, Councilor Donahue, Councilor Budraco, Councilor Menke, Councilor Page, Councilor Rada, Councilor Annis, Mr. Town Manager Hudka, and Mr. Town Clerk Kubienski. Good evening to all. I'm a proud Newington resident. I'm as proud as each one of you sitting in your chair right now. I'm as proud as each person sitting behind me. And having said that, with the elections coming up on November 8th, I don't know if this is the appropriate forum. Yes, ma'am.
Are you commenting on the resolution that's on the table? Because right now this public is.
Negative, no.
Okay.
I'm learning. This is.
I apologize, but right
my
now,
apologies, Beth.
right now our comments are only on the resolution. Then we're going to have public participation in just a few
And I
more
retract
items.
and scratch that, please.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
for
We'll
your
invite you back up in just a few
understanding.
minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My apologies.
No problem. All right, Counselor, so we have a motion on the table to accept the steep grant and allow Mr. Hutka to execute that on our behalf. We have a second. We had public, any other members of the public that are hoping to comment on this? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Donahue absent. All right. Next item is written and oral communications from the town manager, other town agencies and officials, other governmental agencies and officials.
One item.
Okay.
and don't want to spring one on you, but this is a small but good one. We just received notification that the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving awarded, well, Carol Lebrecht put in, our Human Services Director. We were awarded $5,000. But the big thing is it will allow them to replace the food bank's freezers, which are in bad shape.
Wonderful.
So a small amount of money, but a huge issue. And I want to thank Carol for putting in for that grant.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's great news. Yeah. And that's it from you, Mr. Hutka?
Yes.
All right. Next item is council liaison committee reports. Counselor Nagel?
Recently attended the library board meeting. Obviously, as you've seen some signs around town, there's a book sale by the Friends at the end of this month, October 27th, 28th, and 29th. It includes puzzles as well as other things. By the way, the senior center is also having their gift shop open at the same time. The library board is working on the so-called lookbook, which obviously will be presenting to the next council. They also adopted an innovative donor program for the library board, which materials will be coming out in terms of that particular thing. There is another concert coming up, a holiday concert on December 2nd. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Rada?
Yes, two things. One that I didn't have my notes in front of me at the last meeting, but just briefly, the Economic Development Commission met on October 4th, and they hosted Michelle McCabe from Connecticut Main Street Center, and it was very informative. She talked about their program, the option for becoming a member with an annual fee based on population of the community. I guess they have been working with New Britain, and she gave us the name of the person who we could contact to find out what their experience has been. Whole variety of informational items regarding what they can offer to us as a community, how we could develop a committee that works with them. There's something also called Main Street Accelerator, which is free of charge. There's no membership needed. It's a virtual curriculum that provides a lot of information for folks. I can gather more information if anyone is interested, and we may even, certainly will. And I was thinking that we might want to get in touch with Michelle McCabe and ask her to come and speak at some point to the council. The only other information I have, I want to thank Councilor Nagel for raising the book sale. Thank you, Councilor Mankey, for helping put up all those posters around
Sunday
town.
morning.
And I also wanted to mention that the library, the Friends will be having their Winterfest again in January of 2024. I will get you the date at some point, but tickets will go on sale November 1st. So we won't have duly noted this year because I think one of the members has moved to Florida, so they are not duly noted any longer. But yeah. So, Dave Spitzer's still around, but I guess he's not going to do anything on his own. But we'll have more information, but we're really excited because that will be happening again. It's always a big seller, it's a sellout, and we always have a great time.
I will just comment briefly. I know you heard some folks mention earlier, there was a forum at the Congregation of Church in Town against hate, and it allowed for conversations to happen. We were kind of assigned to small groups and discuss certain topics around hate and what we can do in our own community, kind of how we felt about it, what we can do in our community. And it really sparked some, what I would call courageous conversations around the table, where people were able to talk very openly and freely about their feelings about it and try to generate solutions in town. And I think the biggest solution we all agreed on at the end was that needed to be the first step. We need to continue. And that was an opening dialogue for us, but hopefully those conversations will continue. And I learned something, I like to think I learned something from every conversation I have in some way, shape, or form. I appreciated the open dialogue, and lots of members of the public came, people I hadn't ever met before, which was very nice to meet some new faces, and be able to have some good conversations. And I wanted to thank the church for hosting it, and for Mr. Plord, who I think was the organizer of the event. So thank you for doing that. It really was a valuable evening, and hopefully one of more. So that was good. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to public participation. So Mr. Franz, you are welcome to come back up if you'd like.
Evening, distinguished town councilors and Madam Mayor, Mr. Town Manager, Mr. Town Clerk, Mark France. I'm a resident of 288 Williamstown Court in Newington. Now, it does take the whole village for me to be sitting at this seat. And, I'm by no means perfect, but I do believe in our town's motto of growth and progress. Now, I would, with the help of my friend, Mr. Plord, he did write this note for me to kind of, as a jotter, I would emphasize the importance of having a respectful and dignified campaign, especially as we get closer to the election and people begin to feel fatigued by politics. It's rather interesting. I believe that everyone that's sitting in the seat is proud to be sitting in their seats. But this is difficult for me because in this election, I was a registered Republican, and then I switched parties to the Democrats and whatnot as a registered Democrat. Bottom line is I'm loyal to myself, not to sound conceited, but I'm loyal to myself. I know what I stand for. I know what my 2 feet have been through, and so on and so forth, and what brings me to this seat before this council now. So having said that, I would just ask that for sanity's sake, for people's sanity's sake, I think we all want to breathe a breath of fresh air, all of us. Not everyone. I know I'm ready to step up to the plate when it's my turn. And it's a process. I'd like to just ask the council to think for a moment and to ponder. We have Republicans and you have Democrats. For some reason, I think of past Mayor Rodney Mortensen. I admire him because he really was a unifier. And I'm not much of a town historian, but I like what he stood for from what I've heard of him. So I've got the time's ticking. So why should I vote? What merits I would ask both parties, both sides of the aisles here. What Democrats, fellow Democrats, what merits do the Republicans run on in this election? Fellow Republicans, what merits do the Democrats run on in this election coming up in November 7th? I stand corrected. Mr. Kupiansky corrected me. What merits, instead of looking at the negativity, what is the positivity? What is the growth? What is the growth? What is the progress that's being made? And with time, I guess that's it. So, but I would just ask as we get into this election, what is really uplifting about the community? What is the positivity? Because it's my vote. It's my vote for you, okay? It's not written in stone, so to speak. But I would just ask rhetorically, and then what are we gonna do to put things into action? I am just sick and tired on a personal level, Madam Mayor, and in closing, of the negativity back and forth and back and forth. It's not sane, it's not sober, it's not healthy, and it's not doing anyone any good, and it's not doing me any good either. So I want to be positive. I want to continue to think this best for each and every one of you, as I already do. Thank you, councilors and Madam Mayor, for your time.
Thank you,
and consideration.
Any other members of the public that would like to come up? Just double check online.
Rose Lyons, 46 Alton Drive. I was remiss in not thanking you, Mayor Del Buono, for answering me online about the grants. The grants are about as confusing to me as the CIP budget. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I sure do wish that there was some central area where I could contact someone and say, how's this grant going? How's that grant going? The town engineer was here and gave his overview, and I realized after he left that I don't think he mentioned the connectivity of the sidewalk from the town landfill to Berlin Turnpike. As I said to you, Madam Mayor, there's several ways that I have seen grants go through this council. Department heads apply for them. The private industry comes to them and says, we've got $50,000 to spend. What can we do for you? They've come and asked your permission to apply for the grants. They've come after the grants. And one of the questions that previous councils failed to ask, and I think started asking, is what's this going to cost us? I go back to the turf field, $500,000 for the first turf field, but it cost the town of Newington $750,000 and a lot of aggravation back and forth. So there's a lot of things. The first I heard of the $5 million grant for the pool, which I don't ever remember being presented to this council other than by public participation, was reading the minutes of the Parks and Recreation meeting. A lot of people ask me, why do you go to so many meetings? Why do you bother? Because what I don't hear here, I may hear at the Parks and Rec, or I read the minutes of the meetings. And quite honestly, I was appalled at the fact that they were even thinking about taking 4 million of what was left in our ARPA funds when all the state was asking for was a 50% match, and that's 2.5 million. My anger is because I don't see any transparency. I don't see, but I see people complaining. Oh, why can't we do this and why can't we do that? There's got to be some way to centralize these grants and find out what the status is. I shouldn't have to come here to a meeting once a year and find out. There should be a way to do it. That being said, I just want to mention something about the Ethics Commission, and I will be calling you tomorrow, probably, James. I don't know whether they were supposed to discuss and review the documents for the ethics code language, but the meeting was 15 minutes. And we had public participation. Mr. Horrigan spoke, and I didn't know at the time where you were going with it, but I understand that now. But there was no discussion. They just said that they should get together after I said something. They should meet once a year before Halloween. And then they were going into executive session, and I asked if they would come back out and say whether or not they were going to have another meeting. And I didn't get an answer to that. So, I mean, I get it. Frank, I'm thankful that he came, and I'm thankful that the people showed up. But once again, and Mayor Del Buono, I was thinking about that where it said they only meet when there are complaints. That's wrong. And I am glad you brought that up. That was one of the things.
I mean, I read it and then I was like, I know there's conflicting things.
Right.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's it. My time is up.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Sorry, that broke my own rule. Welcome.
Hello, Kathy Gonzalez, 44 Basswood Street. My first question is, how do you, like, we ask questions here, how do we get the answers? You can't answer that.
We have remarks by counselors after public participation, so
Right.
typically we try to respond then. And if not, we can follow up afterward.
Gotcha. Okay. And my other remark is about the ethics committee. It sounds a bit crazy that they haven't met for, I don't remember what you guys said, but it was a extremely long amount of time. And it seems like it's an important committee, considering the fact that you said they can be fined for, you know, saying things that go on in there. And then I think Councilor Annis said, do they know that? That's like even more concerning to me. Do they know their role? how are we not sure if these people know what they're supposed to do? I don't know. I don't know a lot about the ethics committee, but I sure am going to look into it because it sounds extremely concerning, and everybody up here seemed to be concerned about it. But how does something like that go on for so long with nothing happening? And is it, I know you can't answer me right now, and maybe I'll learn in the future, but the boards and committees that you guys are on, I know you had brought up you put out new information on how that goes. Is that part of it or no? Or I just, it seems like those positions are very important. And if there needs to be something better done, I think, it sounded really crazy to me. That's all.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Matthew Plord, 258 Audubon Avenue. I first want to echo what Kathy said. I completely share what her remarks, but also I think it's a chronic issue with so many commissions and boards about not having sufficient resources, not having sufficient public participation in those spaces. And so I'm looking forward to continuing, in my capacity as a resident and, hopefully folks on the council as well, working together to notify the public about when those relevant meetings are and notify them in really quick time when vacancies open up as well, so they can be a very intimate part of the decision-making in this building. So I want to echo that. I also, this is in a different direction, but I just wanted to express my excitement for the Mill Pond Falls, you say that 3 times fast, bridge replacement. Having gone to school out of state for a bit, that was always the first thing I would tell people about where I came from, the smallest naturally flowing waterfall in all of North America. And I think it's such an amazing symbol of pride for our community. I live very close by it myself and have a lot of fond memories there as a kid. So I'm really, really looking forward to not just the bridge being replaced, but also seeing some new landscaping around that space as well to continue having it as a magnet for so many people to our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Plord. Anyone else that would like to come up?
Tallard. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
It was 6 years, Kathy, to answer your question, since the Ethics Committee last meeting. I was there at the Ethics Committee meeting, and I share Rose Lyon's frustration with the lack of not meeting on a regular basis and accountability. And I want to get back to, because I didn't finish it and I didn't want to go over my time, but I started out talking about the signs that were in town that were pulled down. And I watch a lot of stations. I go through all of them: CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, Newsmax. I go through them all and take notes when I'm not here at a meeting. That's all I do for about 4 hours, take notes and record people. And Jesse Waters, actually Ron DeSantis started it, the governor of Florida, and Jesse Waters followed up on it recently on his show where he defended slavery. Jesse Waters says that even though slavery was not a good thing, that some of the people learned a trade. And this is exactly what Jesse Waters says. So people being dragged from their homes in Africa, never knowing what's going to happen to them, work for free, just given food, water, and shelter. And Jesse Waters defends that as they learned a trade. Now let's move on to Greg Gutfeld. Greg Gutfeld, who is on at 10 o'clock on Fox News, in case anybody doesn't know. And they were talking about different things. And Greg has a wild personality, to say the least. And he was talking about the Holocaust. And he said that some of the survivors of the Holocaust the ones that survived, out of the 6 million, learned a trade. This is what Greg Gutfeld said, and the room went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. And then he started to laugh and okay, let's move on. But to have people be incinerated, operated on, tortured, have their teeth pulled to get the gold out of it to make gold bars so the Nazi Germany can keep the war effort going. And Greg Gutfeld kind of mocks the Holocaust and all the Jews that suffered through that, I thought was appalling. And like I said, the room went silent. The room went silent. And then he started laughing, okay, let's move on. And I just thought it was appalling, but I think that's where some of it comes from, because these guys reach a lot of people throughout the country and the world. And it's appalling that they could say this stuff on TV without getting suspended or fired. And I was just appalled that these guys didn't lose their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teller. Any other members of the public that would like to come up? Sure, I'm sorry, my back's bothering me. I just need to stand up for a moment. I apologize. All right, next item on the agenda is remarks by counselors. Counselor Ennis.
Thank you. I just want to clarify a couple of things that were brought up during public participation regarding participation on boards and commissions and notifying the public when there's vacancies. That's up to the individual town committees to recruit people to serve on these boards and commissions and to bring their names forward. One of the things that they're also supposed to do is when you put your name in and you're interviewed for these positions, you're supposed to let the candidates know what their responsibilities are, what the consequences are, and what their obligations are. And I don't know if that's being done today, but it was always done in the past. So that's how we never had vacancies years ago. We made a very diligent effort to make sure every position was filled, so we wouldn't have lack of quorums or anything like that. So I just want to clarify that. Regarding the ethics, for years and years and years, we've been trying to get meetings scheduled. Unfortunately, the way that it's written, that only the chairman or 3 members can call a meeting. And because the chairman was de facto, he was missing in action for a little bit. We weren't able to call a meeting. The town manager, Lane, tried calling meetings. We were not able to. So I think that's part of the reason why there wasn't anything. If there wasn't a complaint brought forward, then nobody else could have called a meeting. So I just want to clarify that so kind of people understand what the process was since 2012, because prior to 2012, they had meetings. 2017, I apologize for the date. But since then, they haven't. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of things so everybody really knows, how the procedure is and how it works and how it's worked in the past, and it worked wonderfully in the past. And I just hope in the future that we can make sure every board and commission seat is filled and we don't have vacancies, because the town clerk sends out to both parties what vacancies are out there. So I would encourage anybody who wants to serve to submit your name and to get active, because that's what makes this community the community that it is, with all the volunteerism. And I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to serve the last 7 months. I've enjoyed it. And I did miss it when I didn't run, and I got my taste again, and now I'm going to move on to other things. So I want to thank everybody for allowing me to serve since February.
Thank you, Councilor Ennis. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on Councilor Ennis and actually thank you for your time coming back with us on the council. I want to thank James. This is your last meeting, but you're always welcome to, but you've really been a solid rock. I think and since I've been on the council, and I really appreciate everything you've done. And I also want to thank everybody at this table. I mean, I might not be here in the next meeting. Some of us might, some of us might not, but we've had our differences of opinion, but I really think that we were respectful to each other. The discussions were calm. We listened, and we got along, and we got things done. One of the things we got done was hiring a new town manager, which was, unanimous. So I'm just hoping that the next council, who some of you in the audience might be on the next council, whatever, I hope that they can work together as well as I think we have. So I just want to say thank you. But final closing remark, I want to address, I want to thank Mr. France for coming up here. I really appreciated you. I wish I think most residents in town do feel the way you do. But there are some that, rather than running on positivity or being respectful or bringing up differences in a very respectful way. And we talk about hate, and I do believe there's maybe not hate on Facebook, but there's certainly some individuals that are disrespectful, maybe don't check their facts as well. And we can get by this, but my fear is that more and more, because it's happened in other towns, and quite frankly, the past week or two, and we've got another 2 weeks to go to the election. If things continue to escalate or devolve into so much negativity or personal attacks, where you're going into people, you're trolling to try and find gotchas in their backgrounds, whatever. Fewer and fewer people are going to want to put themselves out there. If fewer people they don't want to be attacked, they don't want their family to be attacked, it's just not worth it. So I really appreciate your comments, Mr. France, and I certainly hope, and I really do believe that 99.9% of the town feels the way that you do. But it's the others that are relentless and might make some very good people walk away from wanting to run. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Counselor Page?
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to respond to both Mr. Floyd and Ms. Lyons' comments. I don't disagree with Councilor Anderson. You have more experience than I do with this in terms of notifying residents about openings for commissions and boards. So I don't disagree with that. I would say that in addition to that accurate statement, that we still, and I know we've talked about this forever, but we're going to keep talking about it until we do it, which is we can do better to communicate in a new and improved website and in other forms online when we have needs in town, when we have opportunities to serve, whether it's through our boards and commissions, in addition to what those respective committees do, but also to Ms. Lyons' point about just notifying the community about our grant process or about the CIP or about other issues of concern, so that folks, we can just continue to increase the dialogue with our residents. And we know people are busy, people are working 2 or 3 jobs. It's crazy times. But for those folks who we might draw in to participate in this thing we call government, we think we can do better. And I think we all agree to that. And I look forward to next year doing better with that. So whoever's sitting here, and that's all I got, Mayor. And I guess I would just echo the thanks to everyone for the opportunity to serve. This is indeed an honor and it's a privilege. And whoever's here on the 8th of November, Godspeed.
Well, we're still here on the 8th, till the
We're on the
14th.
14th, right. Thank you. The 14th. We're gonna do a lot of damage on.
Counselor Mankey?
Yeah, I guess I would just say, again, I think the negativity in this town is toxic, frankly. And I think for part of that is because it makes it hard to get people to serve on boards and commissions. Because why would you put yourself through that to serve on a board or commission or a council or the Board of Ed or anything, to get lambasted of people who maybe don't know all the facts, and the 9 of us, we're just doing the best we can. And I have to think that I've been in a number of councils now, and I think the R and the D are important when you get elected, but once you're on the council, I think it's more like an N. We all kind of work hard for Newington. Now, we may have a difference in opinion how we get there, but I think we all kind of work hard for our town and what we think our town should be. We may have a difference in what that vision is, but I think we work it out and we kind of get to what's best for the majority, and I think that's important. It's kind of, like I said, I am worried that negativity is going to drive candidates away, because to be honest with you, I sat down this afternoon and I was smoking a cigar and reading Facebook, and it was like a chimney, because the more angrier I got, the more I was puffing on my cigar, and the more the smoke went up. And we have to stop this. We have to stop bashing each other. We're all friends and neighbors, and if we can't realize that, we're in trouble. As I was watching the Facebook back and forth, I'm a famous, I like to collect quotes. So I have this quote, and the minute I read it, this came to mind. And this quote is, "An eye for an eye only makes the world blind." And this was by Gandhi. And I think we got to stop poking each other in the eye and maybe look forward to where we're going. I have enjoyed serving on this version of the council. I'm proud of my record on the council. I'm proud of all of our records in the council. We've accomplished a whole lot these last 2 years. And I wish everybody the best of luck. I think it's important that people come forward to serve their community. But I fear that as time goes on, fewer and fewer good people are going to come forward to serve the community. And that leaves people that maybe not have the best interest of our community in heart. So good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Counselor Nagel?
I'd like to extend my thank you to everyone on the town, those who will be here in the future, not, and everyone on this council for working together. Echo how well we've worked, even though we've had our disagreements. We've managed to move many things forward that have helped the town out, and I'm proud to have been part of it. Recently, the council passing the resolution having to do with hate states my point of view and all of us, and I think it is something that we could do as a group. There are many things that we aren't able to do that town residents think that we are to do, and this is one thing that we were able to do, and of course we all, I assume, because we all vote that way, are in favor of banning any and all kinds of hate. I know many of us hope to be here after the election. Those of you that aren't, my condolences too. Hopefully it won't be. And I look forward to, hopefully it's been expressed here by the public, the next few weeks are positive and not negative. I've always tried personally to be positive. You can check my record, and I don't think you'll ever hear me saying anything negative about anything. I don't feel I need to defend who I am or what I am. Overall, all the years that I've served off and on this board, I think I've proven that. People only need to ask or to find out to see that. I hate to toot my own horn, but as you do. So once again, thank you all for your service, whatever past you've had. And just to add on to my comments earlier and talking about Mill Pond Falls, and commenting and talking to people in other lands. Recently, I went to Iceland, which is known for their huge waterfalls. So it was particularly beneficial and in some ways amusing for me to talk about the smallest waterfall in New England. And they're going, oh, there is a small. Yes, it's natural. So I don't need to go on about that. But once again, thank you all, and we'll hope we're all happy and can move this town forward in a positive way after the next election.
Thank you, Counselor Nagel. Counselor Rada?
Yes, not to echo what has already been said, but this having been my first term, hopefully not my last, as a counselor, I was surprised when I was asked to consider running for election. I had never done anything like that before. Looked around to see if they were talking to somebody else instead of me. But I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from all of you. I know that coming on as a new counselor there, and I think, I'm sorry that Counselor Donahue isn't here, because I remember standing with him at some election, and he talked about what an incredible learning curve it is. I think that was, he was in his first term, and he was absolutely right. And we all learn from each other if we're open to civil discourse and if we're open to listening. We don't always do that as well as we should or could, but that being said, we're all human beings. We have our good days and our not so good days. But I really appreciate it, James. You're always there, not only to help fix the computers when they fail, but also with any questions, and I've shot a whole bunch of them at you, and you've always responded very quickly. Mr. Hudka, glad to have been part of bringing you on board. Again, that was a whole new experience, which I think we worked very well together to achieve, and welcome to you. Good luck to everyone. I want to also thank folks that are here tonight and those, excuse me, who have come in the past, either in person, via Zoom, via phone, to participate in our council meetings. I think that it's so important, and we can't emphasize enough the importance of the voices of the residents in our community who we work for and who we need to listen to. So thanks to all of you and all of them as well. Good luck to everyone. We'll see how it shakes out on November 7th, and hope that I can continue serving with it, at least some of you around the table.
Thank you. Councilor Camillo?
All said it. I don't really have much more to say, but I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Carol. She got me involved years ago. And
You're welcome.
thanks for the past 8 months. And thank all of you guys for getting Tom here. And it's been great working with James, and everybody's opinion you bring to us. This is where we need to hear it. We don't need to hear it on social media. Come talk to us, or meet us out for a cup of coffee and see who we are before you say anything. And looking forward to the next couple of years, regardless of whether I'm sitting here or somewhere else. I'm still going to be involved. So, thanks again.
Okay. I think everybody had a turn. I usually try to wait till the end, let everybody have their say. I would just like to say thank you to the members of the public that came out tonight and that always come out. I've said this before, but we rely on our decision-making on the information we're provided. And usually that's town staff that brings information forward, and that's wonderful, but it always helps us to hear from real people out in the public. So we do appreciate that you come forward and talk with us. I would like to thank everyone sitting at this table for your service to the community. You mentioned it, Kim, it's a learning curve, but it's a good one. And hopefully, after that learning curve kind of settles, you're in it and you love it. And I think everybody here does love it. You can feel the passion at this table.
Well, budget time.
There are times it's not so fun, I understand. That's but I think everyone at this table has a passion for what we do. We wouldn't do it otherwise. We're volunteers, and so we're here for the reason of wanting to do what we think is right for Newington, and not, I would say probably 90, if not higher, % of our votes are unanimous. There are rare occasions that we don't agree on something, but for the most part, this is a very bipartisan body, and I hope that no matter who's sitting here next time, that continues, because it's important for the residents of Newington that this body works together and stays unified like that. So that being said, I would just say thank you to everyone around the table for your service, and I look forward to seeing what the next chapter is for us on November 8th. Mr. Hutka, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure working with you. Hopefully that'll continue, but if not, I wish you all the best. James, I cannot say enough about the work that you have done for this council for many years, and the hours you've put in, because there were many a night that we were both here at 11 or 11:30 saying, why are we still here? So I wish you the very best. I know you've chosen to not continue in this role, but I wish you the very best in the extra hours you'll have with your family, and hopefully a few less headaches from us. So thank you, and I wish you the very, very best.
Thank you.
All right. Susan, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your service to us as well, for sitting there listening to our very long conversations often nights, and being there for us. Thank you for what you do as well. All right, folks, that being said, we are at the end of our agenda, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn. Second.
Motion made by Counselor Mankey, seconded by Counselor Page. Was that you? All right. Any comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned at 8:42 PM. Thank you, everyone.